the anti-Semitism on college campuses. This was you from legalinsurrection.com. Window dressing. Day after congressional letter threatening funding, Cornell condemns student social media post that, quote, Zionists must die. And for the sake of definitions, a Zionist is somebody who believes that Israel has the right to exist and right to defend itself. And I state as freely as the day is long, I'm a Zionist. So this from your university, how did this come about and how is it being taken on the campus?
Everybody remembers that congressional hearing with the presidents of Harvard, who's now gone, UPenn, who's now gone, MIT, who seems to be hanging in there, where they were just unable in any coherent manner to condemn or describe the actions of students on their campuses, which I think are fairly characterized as anti-Semitic. And they really flummoxed it. Cornell's president was not at that hearing. Maybe she'll be at a future one. I have no idea. But Cornell came under a lot of heat because of things that happened at our campus. A well-known professor giving a speech to a large gathering just off campus, which included a lot of students, where he said he felt exhilarated on October 7th when he heard of the Hamas attack. A student who threatened to shoot up the kosher dining hall and is now in federal custody. I mean, he's been criminally charged. And protests, students chanting for an intifada, which was the bloody suicide bombing campaign against Israel. So we have all this stuff going on. And Cornell came under a very big spotlight, even though the president wasn't at that hearing. Well, what happened is the congressional committee, I think it was Ways and Means, sent subpoenas and sent a letter to 4 universities, the 3 who were at the hearing, plus Cornell. So Cornell, according to Congress, has been elevated into this infamous elite group with MIT, UPenn, and Harvard as something that's warranting congressional scrutiny. And the letter basically said, we're investigating you. Here's the records that we want. By the way, you are receiving federal funding, you're required to comply with federal anti-discrimination laws, and you are a 501c3, a tax-exempt entity. And it's not clear to us that you're complying with the requirements that, to get that funding and to maintain that status, which of course is like, a death threat, practically, a corporate death threat. If you lose your tax-exempt status as a university, you're gone. And what the letter said is that, we are concerned that you have not forcefully condemned, anti-Semitic rhetoric on your campuses. That letter comes out. The next day, I and the rest of the campus get a mass email blast from the president of Cornell University condemning what some student, unidentified student, but I believe it is a student, and I think I know who the person is because it's been circulating, but condemning this statement of this person. And to me, that just sounds like window dressing. You get a letter from Congress putting in issue your 501c3, your nonprofit status, putting in issue your federal funding, telling you you've got to start condemning what may be First Amendment protected speech, but which creates a hostile atmosphere on campus. And all of a sudden, this administration, which has been received enormous criticism for being lackadaisical in how it's responding. All of a sudden, within 24 hours, there's a mass email blast to the whole campus condemning this statement. Now, the statement, as far as I can tell, was not made on campus. The statement was made on some student's personal, I think it was Instagram account. And, so it seems like window dressing that Cornell, their feet are being put to the fire by Congress. And now all of a sudden they're going to be hyper vigilant, so much that they almost become internet hall monitors of what students are doing. And I think that raises, real questions and real concerns. I obviously don't approve of that statement by the student, but the Cornell reaction struck me as window dressing.
Well, the other part of the reaction, while we've got about 60 seconds left, William Jacobson, Cornell law professor at legalinsurrection.com, is the idea that it took Congress to act to get Cornell to act. But has anything on the campus changed? Have students started standing up to the bigotry of the anti-Semites? Have the anti-Semites grown in popularity or in numbers or in support? has the campus gone in one direction or another?
Well, I was off campus this fall. I was on sabbatical, but I obviously hear from people what's going on. And I think it's viewed as by the students, by the Jewish students, as a fairly toxic environment. Can't say whether it's gotten better or worse. We've been on break for the last few weeks, the entire campus. This thing with the congressional letter came out while we were on break, and the reaction. So I don't know that there's been much reaction, but I think it's fair to say that the Cornell administration seems flummoxed in how they're going to address this problem. And they obviously don't want to be the next Harvard, UPenn, or MIT, put in a congressional seat before in a hearing. But I think that's probably where they're heading. Not because I have inside info, I don't. But Cornell has a problem, and I'm not sure they're able to deal with it right now.
William Jacobson, Cornell law professor, legalinsurrection.com, and of course, equalprotect.org, equalprotect.org. Sir, always a pleasure to have you here. More is coming up. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today.